Welcome to a playoff edition of the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside Louisville, Kentucky, and in Maryland, home of the Baltimore Orioles and the land of pleasant living, my longtime friend and esteemed colleague, John Webster. John, how are you doing this fine fall day?
Doing great, man. Another great day, another great week in sports. Can't wait to get into it. Matter of fact, let's get banging into it as soon as we can. But first, we would be remiss if we didn't say hey to the main man, John Pitt.
What's going on, guys?
Man, I'll tell you, it's a lot going on today. We got playoff baseball going on this week, NFL, and a lot of exciting college stuff that both of us gonna have some insight on. And I guess I'll just get right into it. First, let's pay our respects to two greats in their respective sports. One, the hit king, Pete Rose of the Cincinnati Reds. There's a lot of mourning around here because, we're just down the road from Cincinnati. All-time hits king, Charlie Hustle, whatever kind of nickname you have for him. John, I tell you, we grew up in a time when we saw like probably a lot of really great old throwback guys. We talk about Henry Aaron and Joe Morgan and Johnny Bench, Roberto Clemente. But man, I'm telling you, the hardest player I've ever seen was Pete Rose.
Tremendous player. My heart goes out to his family. Condolences to his family. Absolutely one of the best players that I've ever seen in Major League Baseball. Played a variety of positions, not only with Cincinnati, but also with Philadelphia. Made an all-star team of various positions too.
Let's not forget Montreal too. That was one of his other stops.
And Montreal as well, you're right. Hey,
Mhm.
rest in peace, Charlie Hustle. Rest in
Yeah,
peace.
yeah. Of course, his career comes, with the it's a mixed bag. His legacy because of the lifetime ban for gambling. That's something we won't, debate here, but we do have to mention it because it is part of the complete picture. But let's not forget what a great player, one of the greatest players, that ever took the field, that ever swung a bat, and was really the prototype for a whole lot of players that we see today. At the same
Well,
time,
well said, Gary. Well said, Gary.
yeah, we also have to pay homage to one of a guy with local ties who played for Georgetown, Dikembe Mutombo, who went on to a Hall of Fame career in the NBA as a shot blocker with Atlanta. I want to say I think Denver was one of his stops. But I mean, covering him at Georgetown in the late '80s, early '90s, the thing I was struck with about him not only was his athletic ability and just really just the way he protected the rim was just what a great intellectual player he was. I think at the time that I met him, um, he spoke like six languages. I think when he left us, he was speaking nine languages, and he was a worldwide ambassador for humanitarian causes as well as the sport he loved.
Absolute sad day in Georgetown basketball. Tumbo's part of the rich history and one of those centers that Coach Thompson helped to develop and move into the NBA along with Patrick Ewing and Alonzo Mourning, Roy Hibbert as well. Well, no,
Yeah,
Hibbert was with
Allen Iverson,
that was with
eh,
that was
yeah,
with younger John Thompson. But like I said, condolences to Mutombo and to his family. Absolute great ball player, but an even better person, great person. Did many
not a
things off the court and a humanitarian, a philanthropist as well. So my thoughts and prayers with him and with his family.
yeah. Rest in peace to Kembe. And the best way we can do it is just like that.
You got well, Gary. I tell you, we got a interesting week in NFL. You had a Philadelphia Eagles team that went down to Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay took total advantage of them. You had a Washington team that went out to Arizona and continued on a winning streak. A Dallas team that eked out a win over the Giants. So let's start with the Dallas game, Gary. What do you think?
That's one I didn't get a chance to watch. In fact, only thing I saw were just a couple of highlights. And I'll say if there was ever a game I felt like Dallas had to win, that was one. It didn't have to be pretty. I think that they just had to win because like the week before, they just didn't. I was just wondering, was this going to be the beginning of a downfall for them? And you know, any division win comes in handy, John. That's the only thing I can really say about it. And style points really don't matter as much as more points than the opposition on the scoreboard.
Well, I had a chance to watch some of that game on Thursday night. Kim and I have been in Texas for well, pretty much the last 5 or 6 days, in Irving and Dallas. And boy, I tell you, Cowboy fans, they are really in love with their Cowboys. That's what I'll say. And it was a hard fought win, and they got some injuries. Dexter Lawrence got an injury. Michael Parsons got an injury. So have to see how that plays out next week. Uh, they didn't look bad, but they didn't look good against the Giants. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. The only thing I can really say about that is, you know, what people forget about, these first weeks of the season, unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs, that it's going to be a work in progress. And that's the only thing I can really say about Dallas right now. And definitely with Philadelphia, when you alluded to what happened in Tampa Bay. They are not the same team that they were last year, and definitely a far removed from the Super Bowl team of a couple seasons ago. John, what is your explanation on that? What is your summation? I don't think that they're getting old. I don't think that they're necessarily out of sync, but something is wrong.
On the offensive side with the Eagles, this past game, they didn't have AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. So your
Mhm.
wideouts, you had the kid that used to play at Washington, Dotson, as your main receiver. Goddard was a main receiver too. Uh, Tampa Bay started the game off on the opening kickoff and just drove the ball right down their throats. And it continued the whole day. Um, Hurts doesn't look like you know, it looks like he's struggling. I'm not putting it all on him. I think part of the struggle, you lost a key component on that offensive line. And I don't know if people give enough credit to how important Jason Kelsey was. I'm not sure people realize how valuable he was. Even like you take for granted the tush push. 2 times this season already, they've been stopped on the tush push. I don't think there was a lot of stopping of them on the tush push last year with Kelsey as the center.
Hmm.
So
That's true.
I think they have problems there. I also think on the defensive side, they are struggling. They can't. They you know Baker Mayfield. I take nothing away from him. He's a very good quarterback,
Yeah.
but I
Are
I
you're
I
about
I
to qualify it, I can tell.
I don't put him in the category as a top five quarterback. I think he's a very good quarterback. I'm not criticizing and saying he can't play, but he he sliced that defense of Philadelphia's up without without any sign of stopping. So, but it's not about Tampa Bay. It's about Philly, and they just got improved. I was talking to somebody earlier today. It's an interesting situation that Nick Sirianni's in. Each week, whether if they win or lose, is still pressure on him. Something's going to be said. And, when you're a coach and the owner of the team tells you, fire your coordinators or else, if you don't do it, what happens? You're fired.
You're fired. Yeah.
Okay. And then when you do it, the coaches that you still have left there don't believe in you because they can't trust you. So, you know, that's a rough situation that Sirianni's in. They have a running back in Saquon Barkley. He made another long run for a touchdown, but as soon as he made the run, Tampa Bay came right back down the field, ran the ball down their throats, threw the ball all over the field, and scored a touchdown. And that was
Yeah.
pretty much the game. So,
Well, yeah, you bring up a lot of interesting points about Sirianni. I don't want to feel like he's a lame duck, but I feel like I feel like he's really on a hot seat. Or, I'll put it this way. He is in he's caught in the middle. What is that? A catch-22. Yeah, because again, you fire you fire, your coordinators, and now, there's mistrust or just, hesitance with the coaching staff now, and that translates to the players and that translates to some of the results because I feel like if they play Tampa Bay, 10 times that they probably win 7 or 8 of those. But yeah, and when you mention Baker Mayfield, I don't know anybody that's putting him up here in that top 5, but I will say he has improved a lot in Tampa Bay. He has found himself, and pretty soon, I think if he continues at his pace, he's probably going to be mentioned as a top 10 quarterback because he seems to have found a system that works to his talents. And I guess, I mean, they've adapted things for what he does, and they're making it work. But John, the New York Giants, before we get to, the hometown team, the New York Giants, what do you make of them? Because I see a team that by all rights probably shouldn't even be in a discussion, but yet you got to pay attention to how they're playing, especially, with the Dallas game.
I still go back to the same thought that I had personally, and you may not agree, or others may not agree either, and that's fine too. But I think they paid the wrong person. I think that you should have paid Saquon Barkley, kept him, and not given Daniel Jones all the money. They
Yeah.
they struggle, but that's pretty much all we can really say about them, Gary. I mean, they are just shake your head and keep moving, man. Just tell me
Yeah.
what you think about the Commanders.
Well, I tell you, after watching that Cincinnati game, I didn't see the Arizona game, but I mean, wow. Um, I'm tempering my enthusiasm because, we've seen this movie before with young quarterbacks, but I like what I see out of him. I like his decision making. I like his athleticism. I like his throwing. I don't like the fact that he has to run so much, and they've got to do something about that. Now, having said that, they have remembered that they have a running back and that they have running backs, and they are using them. And I think that's the thing that you have to figure out that balance between the run game and Daniel's passing or whatever to keep him from having to take off running because right now, that's his instinct, right? At this moment, he's got that college instinct and he's got to come out of that and stay in a pocket. And they've got to figure out a way, again, so he doesn't have to put it all on his shoulders or in this case, at his feet.
Um, they're looking good at 3-1. Can't take anything away from them. They went to Cincinnati and Arizona back-to-back weeks on the road and took care of business. You can't take anything away from them. I do agree with you in regards to Jaden Daniels. Um, Guy has got to maybe not run as much. I mean, that's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Um, hey, we'll see what's going to happen. I'm happy for them. They're 3-1. Who would have thought if after 4 games they'd be in first place? 3-1 in first place by themselves. Hey,
Yeah.
kudos to the Commanders.
Yep, they're off to a good start. Can't say anything bad about Dan Quinn on this one. All right, John, let's go down a level, or I should say, maybe go
Go up a
across
level.
a level. Yeah, I'm not going to say go down because we're talking about Alabama and Texas and well, number one Alabama. What at first I was going to say what they did to Georgia, but that was until Georgia came back. And then just when just as they go ahead, they give up a go-ahead touchdown, and what ended up being the winning touchdown, and then lose, basically blow their chance to win the game with an interception in the end zone. I'm definitely more impressed with Alabama than I was with Texas. Alabama, do I think that they're going to win the SEC? I don't know because again, they didn't knock Texas off of number one by much, but they really showed that Jalen Milroe is the Heisman front runner at this point. That the things that he can do with his arm and with his feet. I mean, he is definitely a dangerous player, and he's got to be. You got to really account for him. He's come a long way since I guess what was it the Texas game of last year, or maybe I'll say the South Florida game where he got benched, where he's just been just a dual threat. Since then, you think about the LSU game last year. You can pretty much I'm going to say you write off the Michigan game because, Michigan was just not going to be beat. And I won't say write it off. I'll just say, again, he's learned from that and he is definitely a different player, much more confident. I think he picks his spots right when he takes off running and his throws are just on point.
Having an unbelievable season. They don't seem like they've missed a beat. Alabama, that is.
Hmm.
Thing is, I think it's a gauntlet for them. I think it's a
It's
gauntlet
always,
for
yeah.
Georgia. And the question I have, which is way down the road, Gary, I'll just put it there just for something to go,
Hmm.
The SEC could beat each other up so badly that when they get to the playoffs, they may not advance as far as they want. Because I mean, and we're going to talk about in a couple seconds with like Mississippi losing to Kentucky, Georgia losing this game, but Georgia, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but they still have some other games ahead of them in the SEC that are going to be difficult. Alabama the same way. And then you add into the equation this year, Texas and Oklahoma are both in the SEC. Auburn had a win had a win and found a way to lose against Oklahoma,
Yeah.
and things are going to, these things are going to happen this year when you add teams in, and it's just a gauntlet for all of them. I still think that the NCAA tournament will be the SEC Invitational. I still believe that as it is set up right now because most of them are SEC teams. But I just
Mhm.
don't know the effects of what they're going through because, think about it, Gary. Georgia and Alabama could see each other one more time or maybe two more times.
Yeah.
That's precedented.
Yeah. Yeah. You make a good point because the term that came to mind was cannibalizing. That the SEC that you say they're going to beat up on each other, and the word I would say they're going to cannibalize each other because I feel like Georgia is going to be in that mix at the end. Yeah, and really the only thing about Georgia is they have to get over falling behind against a team like Alabama. I still think that they are really awed and intimidated by Alabama, and Alabama knows that, and that's why they can get out to get out to those big leads. I think what was it 20? Was it 28-0?
That was 30-0, I think. It was
So,
30 to
yeah, I
7,
mean,
37, 30-0. And I mean, Georgia had a great comeback. I give them all the credit in the world, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
dug such a deep hole for yourselves.
Yeah,
I mean,
you just can't play comeback against them. And again, I think that a lot of that is, is upstairs that that they see that those crimson uniforms and something makes them freeze before they finally shake it off. And
mhm.
again, they made it interesting. In fact, they had them on their heels, but they let them off the hook just that fast, and that's something they can't afford to do. The one thing I want to point out about the SEC that I think has really made a difference is that now without divisions, at least for this season without divisions, that it's a free for all. That's the only way I can describe it. I don't think Texas has played its toughest games yet. Alabama faces a gauntlet. Georgia faces a gauntlet because you're talking about what Tennessee, and of course the game that they got from Kentucky. And the only reason why I feel like they won the game is because they knew they could score a touchdown, and they knew Kentucky couldn't. That Kentucky goes to Mississippi and just basically shuts them down. And that's the only way I can describe that. And they gutted out a touchdown because if you can keep a high scoring team like Ole Miss in check, really keep them from getting to even 30 points, which they did, and give themselves a chance, which they did. They gutted it out, and then that defense just came up. And the only thing with Kentucky, I'm not going to put them in that mix yet, but I feel like they can really alter the path for a lot of possible contenders, including Tennessee, just because of that defense. The offense will eventually, catch up. And that's the thing. I feel like, again, that could really help them. That was a game Kentucky had to win, and they did it with their strength. And it's just a matter of time, I think, before their offense catches up. Because, if you can get lucky and win a game, then that gives you the confidence to win games by design offensively.
So, so yeah, it's you're correct in what you say. Well, I shouldn't say correct, but I agree with you. I definitely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I think you're looking at a SEC champion with possibly two losses, if not more.
Yeah, well, you could be because I don't see. I think what did Georgia drop down to this week?
Well, let's see. Hold on. I can look that up right here. All right. Georgia is five. They're fifth. So I'll
Fifth.
go through the top five for you. Alabama, SEC, Texas, SEC, Ohio State, Tennessee, and Georgia. I mean, and I think those are the teams that you're going to be looking at to really battle it out at the end of the year. And Ole Miss might recover. I think they will recover and
Mhm.
surprise somebody. And John, keep an eye on LSU.
Yeah, LSU is always in the background. Uh, Kelly's a good coach. He does a very good job. They had that early loss against USC. I still think that hurts because USC is going to prove. You see, here's the thing: when you lose to a team like USC, well, when you lose, period, in something like this, you need the team you lost to continue to win, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
if they lose, it takes away from when they beat you.
Hmm.
If they continue to win after they beat you, then maybe you lost to somebody that's really, really tough. But you see, LSU lost USC, and you need USC to keep winning. USC lost to Michigan. Michigan ran the ball 155 times. And, that just,
Figuratively speaking.
yeah, that doesn't bode well for LSU. And that Ohio State team, they're tough, and they got a guy over there now, the offensive coordinator, guy by the name of Chip Kelly. And I think, they're going to be something to be reckoned with. That SEC, because Texas and Alabama, and really, and me personally, I think Texas should still be number one. Alabama should be two. I don't think they should be one. I think Texas should still be one. But
Well,
now,
you know how that is.
yeah,
Primetime national game. Yeah, two high profile marquee teams. You win a game like that, yeah, that's what sticks with the voters come Sunday morning.
yeah, and we'll see how this thing plays out. It'll be very interesting. We'll see how it plays out.
All right. But John, let's go to our favorite sport and our favorite time of year, baseball. Um, yeah, we're nearing the Fall Classic and the playoffs have opened. John, the Orioles went down. We've complained or we've discussed, I should say, about their pitching, but they got good pitching today. They just couldn't score one run. One run.
Yeah, that's yeah, they lost 1-0. Corbin Burns went eight. What you went 8 2/3 innings, something like that.
Yeah. Or 7 2/3, something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
7 2/3, and they
Yeah.
brought in Dominguez to get one out in the eighth. I guess what I will say, good pitching, but it also showed something. Burns' pitch count was not high, so they didn't just push him out there, but what's the word I'm looking for? Subliminally, that's the word, however you say it.
Yeah.
You have a thought pattern because that bullpen was a ERA in the September of 5.18. They didn't want to go to the bullpen. Brandon Hyde really didn't want to do it because one, the Orioles don't have a real closer. So
Nope.
you're doing closing by committee. And right now you're not sure of who your setup man is, who your sixth inning man, you just don't know. So Burns had a low pitch count. He pitched a whale of a game. Did a great job. But they don't have a pitching coming out of that bullpen. The other thing I'll say, and this is a way I guess I'm showing my age. Kansas City got their run by kid hit a single, stole second, Bobby Witt Jr. single, they scored a run. Manufactured a run, Gary. Manufactured.
Which is what you have to do. Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
fifth or sixth inning. Cedric Mullins hits a double. He's on second base. It's a left-handed pitcher, Reagan's. I'm sitting here yelling at the TV, have him steal third. Steal third. It's an easy steal. You didn't do it. And then somebody struck out and somebody grounded out to second or vice versa. But my whole point is, no, grounded out to second, then struck out. If you have him on third base, that ground out to second scores a run because they're not going to contest it because they weren't playing in, they're playing back. So, and in the ninth inning, Ryan O'Hearn walked. Man on first, no out. Why don't you bunt him over to second instead of, cows are flied out, and then Rushman struck out. I think it was Rushman. Rushman struck out, and
Struck out.
Kirsten Kjerstad, Heston Kjerstad struck out as well.
Yeah.
But if you bunt that man to second, it changes your whole mindset. And I know with this thing called analytics that I'm an old man and I don't get it. That's what would be said. But everything is not about a 3-run home run sometimes. Much as I love Earl Weaver, that's my man. That's how he played. And with pitching and good relieving and defense, sometimes you got to use a bunt. Sometimes in a game like today, it's obvious that both pitchers are on. It's obvious that it's going to be a very minimal number of runs scored. Obvious. So
Very true.
What Kansas City did, they manufactured a run. The kid got on first and he stole 37 bases this year. So what do you think he's going to do? He's going to get his motor started and he's going to steal. He stole second. Bobby Witt Jr. hits a single. The kid comes around and scores. 1-0. You know, the Orioles had another one with runners on second and third, 2 outs. They couldn't get it over. You know, Urias was on second with no out. And I know, I keep saying, I know I'm old-fashioned. Bunt the person over. Urias ain't stealing no bases. Urias ain't stealing ice from a igloo. He's not stealing anything because he's slow as ice truck. But at least with Mullins, you could have bunted. You could have told him to steal third. He would have been in position, and we still be playing right now with a 1-1 game.
Yeah, but John, what was impressive about that ninth inning from Kansas City? I mean, that closer. I mean, did you see where he was painting the plate? I mean, he's one inside pitch from striking out the side. That's the whole thing. That pitch was as close as you could get. I mean, it was a good call, but I mean, that's just how off he was. And that velocity, yeah, the thing is, the way he made that ball move around, to your point about the bunt, I think the problem was they probably didn't know how to bunt against a pitcher like that. The way he was moving that ball around because I saw a cutter. Let's see, I saw a four-seamer, I saw a two-seamer, and I mean, and that breaking ball, the one he got got the first strikeout on. I mean, did you see the way that ball just dropped just after it
Yeah,
came
but
across the
but
plate?
but I'll also say this too. I give a lot of credit to Perez, their catcher, because he was
He did
able
frame it.
to, he framed a lot of pitches. A couple of those pitches were out of the strike zone, and he framed them back up.
Mhm.
And I give him credit. Back to the other point about they can't bunt over or on a four seam or whatever, a cutter. That's what spring training is for, my friend. That's what spring training is for. You should be practicing that, practicing and practicing. Bunting should still be a very important part to baseball, and it is not. It's obvious because it is thought now with analytics, you're bunting to play for a smaller inning. If I don't bunt, I'm playing for a big inning. And guess what happens to teams like the Orioles? You get nothing
Mhm.
because you're swinging for the fences.
True. Very, very true. So, John, the other game, the Detroit Tigers, who seemed are like just on a roll. That's the only way you can really, really describe how they're playing right now. Beat Houston, the team that I still consider the most dangerous, in the playoffs in any year, just because they, they're just pesky. That's all. For all the talk about the New York Yankees and their power, and rightfully so, that the Houston Astros are still the most annoying team to play in the postseason because they can come at you in so many different ways. I mean, they still have a core of that lineup that that had won two World Series, but Detroit is just playing not over its heads. I mean, they are just playing with confidence right now because who 2 months ago, heck, even a month ago, would we have been talking about the Detroit Tigers being in playoff contention, let alone, being in a first round series?
You know, the interesting thing with this game today, and my hats off to the Detroit Tigers, that game was over after the second inning because if you have Tarek Skubal on the mound and he's winning
Hmm.
3-0, you're not scoring 3 runs. It's just not
Very
going to
true.
happen,
Yeah.
and then in the ninth, they got to the bullpen. Houston had the bases loaded with 2 out, and Jason Hayward hit a liner to first base in the game, hit it right to Torkelson, right in his glove. But you're right. Detroit, who would have ever thought they'd be where they are right now? They're the hottest team in baseball. What's going to be interesting now for the next 2 games, or 1 or 2 games, whatever it is, and I got to see enough of it the last 2 weeks with the Orioles playing them. They do such a mismatch, and it's such chaos with their bullpen, and it's positive chaos. AJ Hinch is a great manager. He used to manage Houston, as you know. They just put people together. They one day, back-to-back days against the Orioles, the same guy started the game and threw 1 inning.
Hmm.
You just don't know what they're going to do with the bullpen, and it throws you off. Scuba's going to do his thing. You're not going to get a hit off him, whatever. You're not going to get a bunch of runs off of him. Fine. But then the next 2 days, what they do with that bullpen and what they throw at you, and they still got the closer, what's his name, Brisby or Brias or Brisby or something.
hmm
They're tough, Gary. They are tough. And the thing that Houston did today, they threw their ace out there. They threw Valdez out there, and he just had a rough second inning. They scored 3 runs in the second inning, and you guys see what they're going to come back with. They sat Verlander for the playoffs. He's not going to be on the roster, so we'll see what else they have. I mean, it's you. Most people would think, well, you lost to school, but nothing else can be as bad. I'm telling you, the way they pitch that bullpen and have spot starters for an inning or two, they're still dangerous, man. They are
Oh yeah, there's no
dangerous.
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Well, John, I think that about wraps it up for us, man. I think we touched upon everything in a little bit of time. By the time we get back here, I think we'll be talking about, let's see, the beginning of hockey, the beginning of NBA exhibitions, and of course, we have to talk about Klay Thompson not being with the Golden State Warriors and what that means. And well, again, there's never a shortage of things to talk about. Heck, we could be looking at a new number one in college football a week from now, or when the next time we talk again. So, folks, watch sports. That's all we can tell you to do. Take your mind off all the other everyday stuff. Make it the release that it is. Watch us, more importantly, watch us on YouTube, watch us on Facebook. Reach out to us. We'll send you a link, and we'll catch you next time. John, take us home.
Hey, y'all, thanks for watching us again. Another great week in sports. It's always a great time sitting here talking sports with Gary. Watch us on YouTube. Watch us on Facebook. Also, watch some sports. Watch some football. Watch some basketball. Watch some baseball. But above all, just watch some sports, and we're going to see you again real soon. Take care.
Including the WNBA. Sorry, I gotta drop that in there too.